Smooth 98.1. ARM, invested in your tomorrow.
Good morning. We are Smooth 98.1 FM. You're welcome to Freshly Pressed for the 22nd of November 2023. It is a Wednesday, and I say big good morning to Lakunle Yusuf.
Good morning, Omas. Good morning, everywhere where we're listening to us. From the news analysis headlines that I see, winter is coming.
The fun. Also, we have got Devoe Okorie. Good morning to you, Devoe.
Good morning, world. Good morning, Smooth. Omas, Lakunle.
All right, welcome.
Winter is truly coming.
Okay, but I'd like to inform you that I don't know the wing Devoe plays, but this morning he plays like a roving midfielder. Somewhere along the line, it would dribble and then it would find himself right beside me. But let's just get started now. Playmaker. Devoe, get us started talking with this news headline coming in now. And this one is coming straight from the Vanguard newspaper. And there it tells us that the federal government revokes licenses of 1,633 mining companies. Devoe, first, we'd like to know, why were these licenses revoked? Two, just break down the sectors of this mining sector companies affected, where they were playing in before they were affected. Take us through the story.
Yes. This is a reform agenda by the new minister, that's Dele Alake, who has been moving on the renewed hope agenda by the Tinubu-Shettima administration in trying to shore up, let's call it productivity, GDP areas for the country. And in his remit, he is dealing with the mines and steel industry. Now, prior to this time, part of this reform included sanitization. And within that sanitization, where, Nigeria's mining and solid mineral industry has been underdeveloped for many, many years. I would almost say since the discovery of oil and gas, mining and solid minerals has been ignored. However, there are some people who have taken advantage of getting licenses, but haven't really used them. And what he was saying, that in line with the powers conferred on him by the Act, Section 5, 2007 NMMA, that he's approving the revocation. This revocation, coming from the cadastral office, covered people who were into about 536 who had exploration licenses, about 279 who had quarry licenses, 787 people who had small-scale mining licenses, and about 31 who had mining leases. Literally, these are various licenses granted to individuals or companies who apply to be able to excavate or extract some form of solid mineral from an allocated area, just like you have in the petroleum sector. And the whole idea is to ensure that those who have the licenses are not just sitting on them, but they're making productive use of them. It's just like how some years ago within the financial sector, licenses were revoked both in the commercial and microfinance industry because of people who committed sharp practices or in one area or the other, or fell short of regulation.
All right,
so we hope that the minister carries through with the reform agenda, because a lot of potential lies with the solid mineral industry. And we want to ensure that they make that industry as attractive as possible to attract both local and foreign investors.
Thank you, Devoe, for that, for breaking that submission very well for us. So let's get into the next one. And Lakunle Yusuf would like to understand what the Daily Post is saying when it reports this. Judiciary is putting soldiers' life at risk by granting bail to terrorists, and that's quoting the Chief of Defense Staff. How did we get to this point where the judiciary is now endangering the lives of security operatives. Talk us through this story.
Okay, so this is possibly why I said winter is coming as one of the things that we'll see on a daily. Now, so we all know the number of men and officers of the Nigerian military that have been lost to battling the Boko Haram, ISWAP, the bandits, and all of them. We know the number. Some of us have had friends, families involved in this, so we know the direct impact of these things, right? So the CDS, it cannot come from a higher authority or a more competent source than the CDS, who says we know that these men risk their lives to combat, to battle, to arrest, and deliver these criminals to civil authorities for prosecution. But what do we get at the end of the day? We hear amnesty. We hear they have been reformed. And in that process, some of these people maybe honestly, you know, the way we are about telling stories about our ordeals in one, whatever or the other, would have gone back to their respective villages or homes and have boasted, it was so and so person that arrested me. In that crowd listening to him, one or two people may be there, maybe informants to these other people. If it is not the same person who goes back to them to go and tell them who arrested, so they note the name. Internet is free for everybody these days. It's easy to possibly trace friends and family of such an individual. So why should the men who risk their life to arrest these people continue to expose themselves to this kind of things that they arrest, then down the line, these people are granted amnesty, they are granted bail, they are released back to the public in whatever, under whatever guise. And then the men who had arrested them in the first instance and their families are now put at risk because the people they arrested they know their name, they know where they live, and so on and so forth, and their families become target. So why do we expect that these men continue to risk their lives to do things? I think that we should remove our emotional and religious beliefs about forgiveness and stuff when it comes to these things. We should just apply the law. What does the law say about treason? What does the law say about insurgency? What does the law say about criminality? Why can't we just apply the full law and allow these things to just take its place? It's the emotional and sentimental reason we put into this that put this man's life as this, and I think we should stop it.
Okay, thank you very much, Lakunle, Yusuf, for helping us understand that. But before we let that headline rest, before this appearance before the reps now, there's been a time where it was said we needed to also integrate these fighters into the security operations in these war theaters. Wasn't that at that time where we were compromising the lives of our security operatives?
So the first question is, where does the loyalty of this person you are integrating lie? What magic, what propaganda, what conditioning do you do to make the person possibly change their loyalty or understand what it is? Again, it goes back to what I said earlier. Our religious, emotional, and sentiments about these things. If I killed 10 people, it's because they are from my tribe. That's why you are killing them. It is because they are from your religion. That's why you are killing them. It is because it is not your people. That's and so on and so forth. The law, my religion says I should forgive when somebody else and says I am sorry. We should forgive and forget. So long as we keep applying these things to an issue such as this, these risks continue to exist. I think we should just, if we want to do things the right way, we should just do it, apply the law exactly as it should be applied. If you've been arrested for murder, what does the law say about finding you guilty for murder? If you are arrested for treason, what does the law say about finding you guilty for treason? And so on and so forth. That's why also a little stretch a little bit further, you go to our prisons, a lot of people are on death row. The simple reason the sentence has not been carried out is because nobody wants to be remembered that it was one that signed the death sentence of somebody. So if that is the case, then let's remove that sentence from our law. Let's apply appropriate law, whatever it is that we need to do. We need to do those things to remove these things and allow our military to face their job, knowing that their family are safe where they are.
Thank you so much, Lakunle, Yusuf. Let's bring in Devoe, Okorie. But Devoe, before you do that, with the Punch newspaper, I'd like the listeners to know that at this point, we'd like to get their reactions to the headlines we're treating this morning on Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1 FM. You send that as WhatsApp message to 0809-444-0981. 0809-444-0981. WhatsApp messages only. Devoe, let's go to the Punch newspaper, where the National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration is alerting the public on counterfeit injection in circulation. Doctors, nurses, patients, be on the alert. Walk us through this story.
Yes, and also generally public healthcare providers. Well, NAFDAC, NAFDAC, that's the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration, has put out a circular regarding a batch of a counterfeit Meronem 1G injection being purchased in the country. Meronem sometimes is pronounced as Meropenem. Now, what they've said that this batch that came through one of Pfizer's distributions, Pfizer also brought to the regulatory agency the notice that in one of their consumer forums, it was noticed, and all the issues in terms of the vial content not dissolving, the cream code not being the same. Literally, this batch was not part of what it was substandard to Pfizer, and they've let us know that, hey, be careful of this batch in use, so that it does not get pushed or distributed widely. Now, this is the job of NAFDAC to, highlight these things and prevent these hazards, especially where food and drug is concerned. However, for those who need to understand and know, Meronem is an injection. Meronem used to treat infections caused by bacteria. Okay. Now, this injection is normally used to treat skin and abdominal area injections. Okay. And our people, especially of the female gender, who are always injecting themselves. And without calling brand names, there are lots of injections that are being widely used in the market currently for various, in quote, of treating skin color or skin spots, etc. And go. So it's of note that we do take notes. Please, even if you're not a person using the Meronem injection, please alert those who do, so that they might beware, to ensure that they are not buying a product that is substandard that could be hazardous to them. And I don't know how far this is using the radio medium, how far NAFDAC will go to ensure people, even in areas where mass communication is a bit difficult, can pass this. And if not that we don't have time, we would have said it in Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, and then finally in Pidgin.
Okay, Devoe.
Can I add to that, please?
Yes, let's.
Right. So quickly, this is also the consequence of the exits of pharmaceutical companies from Nigeria. We know in the last 3-4 months, we've had, I know of 2. GlaxoSmithKline has left.
Okay.
Sanofi has announced that they are leaving in January or February next year. And we know the immediate effect of that on certain drugs. Somebody yesterday was just telling me that Serotype, one of the drugs used for
no, you just don't prescribe, so some persons don't jump on it.
So when these drugs go, when the price of these drugs go high out of whatever that way, we get to hear that we look for cheaper alternatives. And in looking for cheaper alternatives, that's what leads to counterfeiting. And so we need to be careful, like Devoe said, self-medication is a no-no. Get to the hospital, let the doctor give you the alternative that you think is cheaper for you to be able to afford.
All right, thank you very much, Lakunle, Yusuf, for your time. But then we know we're about to hear from the listener after now on 0809-444-0981 will be where we get the WhatsApp messages. Now, even if they tell you that it is very, very more expensive to stay healthy now, because as you see, it is risky to fall ill because the medications, the prices are skyrocketing. Stay tuned with Smooth 98.1 FM.
In music on Smooth 98.1. Looking for a reliable way to grow your money? Let me tell you about ARM.
Almost.
One of the largest bank financial institutions with over 29
This is not working today.
Money management and wealth creation. It's almost 3 decades.
Again, I said the AC is not working again today.
Okay,
Open the door.
Yeah.
Maybe I just
Open the door.
Story.
It's because you are late. That's why it doesn't mean your appeal is not working.
What is Lakunle saying? Lakunle, what are you saying?
I said you should open the door for him.
No, Lakunle, keep that as no.
Open the what?
Don't fire.
He has shots. He should fire.
Don't fire.
He should fire.
I've heard
We're
my
not
peace.
Gaza people.
No, guys.
We work with Iran. We'll fire back.
Great offer for everyone. We even start with 1,000 naira, 6,000 naira. For more information, visit arm.com.ng or call 01-271-5002. That's 01-271-5002. ARM. Let's face tomorrow together.
Press 1 for all your entertainment stories.
Day with some entertainment on the Smooth Breakfast Show. Got your top trending stories from the entertainment scene on the front burner. It's movies, fashion, music, and everything in between. Tune in to the Grapevine and keep up with the Smooth Paparazzi as we bring you up to speed with the latest in the world of entertainment. The Grapevine every Tuesday and Thursday from 8:15 a.m.
Life is music. Here on Smooth 98.1. Go by a new sound. Don't touch that patch.
We're Smooth 98.1 FM. We're back still picking up the headlines for you and then hoping to get your reactions to the headlines this morning on 0809-444-0981. Lakunle Yusuf, help us understand, make sense of this now. Daily Trust newspaper speaking here, it says, we will make it mandatory for INEC to upload results. That's what the Nigerian Senate is confirming. Would this be the first time we've had some of these affirmations coming out? And why should the Nigerian public run with this one or go to sleep with this one now knowing it would happen?
Okay, so I think that I agree with the senator from Oyo representing Oyo South, Sharafaddin Ali is a first-term senator, I think, if I'm correct. Right. I think I agree with him. Our electoral law is one of the documents or laws that has constantly seen reviews, reforms, and updates, at least since 1999. And I think that the intention of introducing of BVAS and IREV was to continue to authenticate and to give us cleaner results. And maybe by error of omission or commission, these items of making it compulsory for uploads via the IREV was not included in the last one. I know that at least since 1999, the electoral law has been reviewed and have been reviewed at least 3 times. So it is good news to hear that we will do this, right? So what we now need to do is to pressure them to do it in good time against the next election, so that some of the things that were reasons for disputing this last election can be corrected, can be arrested in the next election. So where we need people to concentrate, here now we're inviting the Nigerian Labour Congress, the all NGOs, civil liberties organizations, interested individuals, political parties, to pressure the National Assembly to get this done.
Thank you so much, Lakunle, Yusuf, and let's race down to get Devoe Okorie to help us make get the meaning of this conversation here, since the candidates, the global candidates of the ADC in the Lagos governor election this year had thrown some information into public domain, and there's been questions and people, I don't know if when you asked your state governor for his own public procurement, Devoe Okorie, and even if Lakunle had also asked that, if he's a Lagosian, there will be no need, his own is out there in the public domain. But understand this one, Lagos infrastructure spending fails to reach the poorest. AFDB business is the one speaking here.
Yes, the African Development Bank, they've been speaking to the fact that in their reports, from millions to billions, financing the development of African cities. As you know, AFDB is committed to developing Africa by Africans. Now, obviously, one of those cities in focus is the largest Black city in the world, that's Lagos, and with about 20 million individuals and about 5 million visitors daily. It's a large city, riverine with potential, but grossly underdeveloped for a metropolitan city. And they're saying here that most of the development plans for Lagos do not get to the state's poorest, and that the relatively high capital component of the Lagos state budget, that's about 58%, doesn't always translate to implementing basic infrastructure services for the city's poorest people. Recently, people were complaining about the queues and the not enough inadequate BRT buses. Okay, that's a mass transport system, given the fact that the rise in petrol, which makes it extremely difficult to travel with uncommensurate increase in income. Even with the slash by 25% by the government, it's still expensive for many, because even in a city of 20 million, how many people are are in the high earning income sectors? Secondly, because it's a large city, most times you talk about places like Ajah, that side that's so overcrowded. You talk of overcrowded, highly densely populated places like Alimosho, like Okokomaiko, like Igondu, Idimagbo, what's that other place? Ijaniki, even the sides. Ajangbadi. You talk of Fagba, etc. Those are highly overpopulated zones. And now the AFDB is saying that most of the infrastructure plans that Lagos has are not touching these places. I've been those places by road, and I know how difficult it is. But I want to hope that Lagos State, and not just Lagos State, citizens work with the State Assembly to ensure there's an even, equitable distribution of what Lagos gets, to ensure that even the least get to touch the dividends of this democracy that we dearly fought for.
Thank you, Devoe. You see, Lagos, when I told you this man has been roving, he gave himself out. You see now he has explained, he's just told you all where he has been this is just before 8 o'clock. See all where you've been. Well done, Devoe Okorie. Lakunle, Yusuf, help us go through this paper, if you can, in a minute. The Premium Times newspaper, uproar at Senate over change in leadership of minority caucus. What's the business of the majority with the issue of leadership change in that?
The Senate, 109 members, has 49 from all the other parties, while the majority party has the remaining 60. Right, the 49 is 37, 7, and 722 for the 5 other political parties that have members there. So from amongst these 5 parties, they're supposed to choose a minority leader, a deputy minority leader, a minority whip, and a deputy minority whip. Right. So what happened? The minority whip, I think, from Abia, courts and all this election, the deputy minority leader got appointed as minister. So there was need to refill those positions. And of course, the you know, when they are now there now, the members will now go and lobby the majority to vote for them because they will be part of the voting as well. So the person that got elected, somebody else got angry that the person that was there before was from my zone, and you now appointed somebody else who is not from my zone to replace him. No, we will not agree, and all that. That was what caused the trouble. Okay, so this is part of the things we say about the electoral law, that we should focus on those things that we see are loopholes in that law. Why should the Senate resume when all court cases have not been resolved? Why should somebody win an election, get sworn in to take a position in the Senate or House of Assembly or House of Rep, and then get appointed as commissioner or as minister, and then this kind of things happen? So the foundation of itself is that we need to block that things that make these things happen, so that we won't be having this kind of conversations about in our politics.
Thank you so much, Lakunle Yusuf. So let's go to messages now. Dami from Lagos leaves us a message here where it says, amnesty is not a judicial decision. It is a political choice made by governors and presidents. There are some people meant to ensure that judicial process is followed to the letter. The same political class that has incentivized violence in the electoral process are the ones meant to empower security services to discharge their duties. The Chief of Defense Staff should go and face his orgas. He knows where they are. Then comes in James with a message from Asaba. This amnesty path we are always singing in our country is a big joke. Does it take just a year or two to rehabilitate a captured terrorist or killer? What about the victims? What closure or justice do we offer the victims? The danger is not just to the army, but the wider society. James from Asaba. Then I'll bring in a message here from, let's see, Fabian from Ekwe. The actual name of the drug, and he mentioned it, and then it goes on, it's an intravenous antibiotic. It is a brand of drug. The NAFDAC needs to do more and work towards getting the root cause of how the drug got into the country. This isn't the first time it's happening. Fabian from Ekbe, thank you for the message. Then comes in Lakunle. Applying the full law on these issues is for a country that has and obeys their laws. So forget it. Nigeria is still not obeying the laws. And then it goes on. Henry from Olodi, Apapa. I'll bring in Ajayi's message here. Ajayi's got a message here saying, the intention of the Senate to further review our electoral law is welcome development. Besides technological reforms, we should ensure that all the court process concluded before winning candidate is sworn in. Ajayi Olonilua from Magodo, Sherry. Then comes in this one with Tony from Marine Beach. It says, here are investors leaving and others about to leave. On the other side, we see our president going out to woo investors. They told us that a bird in hand is worth $1 million in the bush. Why won't the leaders look into issues to make the ones already here to remain? Which knowing fully well that they have meeting place with the ones they are pursuing outside. It comes more disastrous when it is about pharmaceutical companies. Then comes our next one here. Shegun says, well, Lagos may not be the largest city, but then I guess Devoe was talking about in terms of population, that it's a densely populated place. I guess, Devoe, that's what you were trying to get across. Population. Yes. Then I got Peter here with a message saying, well, Senator Lawan said this same thing when an amendment was made by Buhari administration. The video evidence is all over the internet, but the INEC and judiciary undermine the rule of law. The Supreme Court Presidential Election Tribunal said that INEC has the prerogative to choose the mode to announce the results when it was already law. Well, let's go on to picking Ayo's message _Lagos. I will play the devil's advocate again, and this time for the Lagos state government. Lagos is overcrowded. The governor needs to exploit the plan to turn some people back to other states and particularly back to other regions. The states will not develop and they choke Lagos out soon enough. The AFDB report is not fair to Lagos. In Ayo's view, there is just not enough to go round in Lagos.
There we go. There we go with excuses.
I see messages from Idima Puza. I also see Chidi's message. I see your message, Chidi. NAFDAC has lost its relevance after the death of Professor Dora Akunili. That's what it would sum it up as. So, Lakunle Yusuf, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me, Omas, and nice seeing you again, Devoe.
Thank you so much, Devoe Okorie, for your time too.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks to everyone who sent in messages and, of course, who listened to the show. My name is Omatseye Atsenuwa. Good morning.
Back down.